Hey, Shalom. Yahaba Smash Thumb, to the Lord, hopefully elect. Right? First and foremost, I want to give honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakadash, the honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, rule well and teach well. Shalom to the hopefully elect men that scattered abroad, pushing this truth without sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And also shalom to very few sincere sisters that's taking heed and getting in order in these last days. Brother Amawan coming at you with a quick lesson, the woman's edifying to the point, and it's a quick lunch break, clip, right? But just going diving into what's going on, man. Right? That's why the Lord rose up His prophets to what blow the trumpet. Starting off with our apostles, So here you have it. We've been telling you, World War III is going to happen, and now we're seeing it roll out, right? Because as you can see from this article right here from The Hill, right, it says automatic registration for U.S. military draft to begin in December, right? And so if you was the question saying World War III is not going to happen inside this time, so why is this right here being brought out? Because WW3 will be held in our lifetime, man. Whether you want to believe it or not, right? The pieces are being put into place. Right, you seeing the people like Iran, getting ready to, pretty much they're done getting bullied, But that's prophecy though. Let the weak sound strong. Park this car, right? These letting the weak sound strong. So we seeing the pieces getting put together, man, and that's talking about what for December they're going to what, automatic, right? So real quick, it says eligible men will automatically be registered into the military draft pool by December as part of an effort to streamline the previous process of self-registration and save money. And and I was just watching the elder Atazawan about it, about his lesson Salakia, right? Yahweh Special Barakatah. And and one thing we must keep in mind, Esau can always change that number up. It could say December and catch niggas off guard. And he started doing shit next month. We never know, but we always pay attention to our devil, right? And understand that he'll give you something, but he wants to move beforehand, right? A case in point, the NWO, right? 2030 agenda, right? He wants them to be fully functioned, but that means he gotta get the move on now, right? So and I'm gonna just read this 2 paragraphs, and that'll be it. But it said the Selective Service System, SSS, the government agency that maintains a database of men to be called up to serve in the case of a national emergency, which is coming soon, submitted a proposed rule to the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs on March 30th, according to the office's website. And one thing you must remember, they had a so-called ceasefire, on both ends, right? They both so-called agreed to it, but less than 24 hours. Somebody was getting their nose wiped. The Straits of Hormuz had, closed again, right? So we already know things from there really kicking to hyperinflation now. Was it Israel and Israel? I think Israel swiped Lebanon. And when I was reading the article, it was talking about over 100 missiles within 10 minutes. Talking about they were saying how the ground will not stop shaking. So that goes to show you that, real soon, these people finna go into war, but we know it's not gonna be full-fledged until the MOTB pops off. But let me break out these couple precepts right quick, just proving the point where we at with it. We're not in a time of lollygagging. It's a hot time to wake out of sleep, because we're definitely in a time of war. Ecclesiastes 3:1, to everything there is a season, and every time to every Slakia, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Right, we're gonna jump down to verse 8. It says a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace, right? Before we get to that time of peace, we got to go through that time of war, excuse me. And that's what we're seeing right now. That's why they're telling people they putting the draft into effect, and also, scriptures like 2nd Esdras chapter 16, goes into that, right? Because a lot of these YNs, they not coming home. Right, and good, they need to be, motherfuckers need to be maced, some, Let me bring that up right quick. Right, they're gonna die in these wars, man, and which lines up with the book of Joel 2:20 about how they carcasses gonna lie the stink. Right, what I just called? I said 2 Ezra 16. So like verse 33: the virgin shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The woman shall mourn, having no husbands. The daughter shall mourn, having no helpers. And beautifully how the elder Amon Gabar was going into. You have both your virgins of one of a marriageable age, right, and the one that's a virgin, and they, like you say, they won't be able to understand what the boyfriend experience is, because why? Hey, these younger folks are going to the draft, right? And now that they're increasing the age, to like what 42, it's gonna be a lot of people, right? That's going to be a lot of females gonna be mourning, right? And that's just another way to another avenue to where that's going to lead all the way back to Isaiah 4:1, honestly, because hey, if all of them gone and ain't no light within them men, and who's gonna be left? Hey, the men of the Lord that they gonna be trying to find, man. Right, verse 34, the point: in the war shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. See, so in the war they're gonna be destroyed, right? Which, like I said, which lines up with the book of Joel 2:20. So that was just something real quick for this quick lunch break lesson, and matter of fact, let me go over a chapter and start from the top. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. Right, which the Lord is speaking through his servants, the prophets. Right, we've been warning you about a World War III will happen. We've been giving you details, correlating with the scriptures, giving you discernment, right? Like the scripture says, make it plain upon tables. It says, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. And this is what we use to indicate where we at within time period, man. And I'm gonna close off on this last scripture. Like I said, in the Lord willing, this is edifying. This is Revelation 11 and verse 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So third woe coming quickly. How much faster than MOTB? How much faster is Jacob's trouble? Because we're seeing these things speedily increase, right? We're seeing Mexico going to the digital ID. We're seeing food shelves, going empty and in price. Scriptures talk about how they're gonna have to eat and measure. He's gonna cut Jerusalem, break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, roughly paraphrasing. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I'm gonna close out by giving honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Krakadash. Shalom, and just blowing the horn. Shalom.